it was something I wasn't familiar with, but it was because of those seats. I was like, look, worst case scenario is I don't like the movie, and I just take a wonderful nap in these seats. So I'll tag along, and the movie was okay, but I was very comfortable.
My fellow bartender Amy said that her grandfather used to take her and her sister to movies all the time, and he would just sleep the entire time. But one time they went to a movie and he stayed awake, and it was Scooby-Doo 2. He was like, "What kind of crap have I been taking you to?" And she's like, "They're not always this bad, Grandpa, I swear."
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect. Yeah, so just prepare to...
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
I got my sweet jerk with them. Shoes on.
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to...
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbeatable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You were listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. Today is Sunday, January 19th, 2025, and this is episode 735. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Graffita, the man behind the dials. This show, we're going to discuss a 2-1 week of Pacers basketball with games against Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Joining me this show are two of our three analysts, coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from the high school home of Jameson Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? Shout out to Martin Luther King.
Shout out.
Shout out. From Asheville, North Carolina, he's our in-house bartender, mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles, and under new management, John Colson.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say that we're on episode 735?
Did I say 735? You probably did, because I did not update the document.
Okay.
It's 742.
742?
Yeah.
Yeah. Older than you think, Joe.
Well, before we get into the show, episode 742, as I clearly said at some point,
We'll fix it.
I want to remind listeners.
Fix it in post, right? And we'll just cut all this out. Nobody will ever know.
Yeah, for sure. Want to remind listeners they can support the longest running Pacers podcast by heading over to patreon.com/undebeatables. And you can support us for as little as $1 per month.
When you've been doing it as long as us, you hardly need editing at all, really.
That's
Just,
I mean, it happens. It happens that we don't do much editing because we're good at what we do, right?
that's right.
Well, we've been doing what we do for actually 12 years. Today, as the podcast is released,
What?
this is our 12th anniversary.
Shout out. Happy anniversary to you guys.
Happy anniversary.
It's the big XII. Congratulations, guys. Harper is unable to join for this, but in absentia, we're going to discuss, before we get into the show, we're going to discuss what kind of gifts are appropriate for the 12th. So I found it that there's multiple gifts that are appropriate. So we'll start at the top here. The traditional gift for the 12th anniversary is silk or linen. Both of them are acceptable.
Those sound like different price brackets to me.
Yeah.
True. But, Jason, do you have any silk or linen type products that you think might be appropriate for an Undebeatable in your life?
Yeah, nice pair of linen pants. Looking ahead to summertime, I think.
Okay, yeah.
We're all sweaty
wear some matching
gentlemen,
linen.
so that might be
Yeah.
nice. Some silk bed sheets, perhaps.
Never had those.
Maybe that's too intimate. I don't know.
It's fancy. Slide around on the sheets, huh?
Nice silk tie. You guys like to dress up.
Or a scarf.
Yeah.
So important for my job.
Well, there's good news, too. If silk or linen are not your things, we have modern gifts. And the modern thing to give is pearl for the 12th anniversary.
Oh.
Pearl, eh?
Yeah.
Give you just a pearl of wisdom, maybe?
I think you get to tell some oyster to suck it, and you take a pearl. The official color of the 12th anniversary is oyster white.
Oh, that's why
guess.
silk and linen probably also?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you're thinking about a gemstone, jade is good.
Known for its
Which is
oyster
green,
white.
yeah. Isn't it green?
Yeah, it is. I don't know why. That's the color of the jade then.
Because the Jade Lobby won the war.
Right?
For the right to be the 12th anniversary gift.
And the flower is the peony.
Ah.
So I'm on Forever Anniversary, and it looks like they're offering us to do a linen print, which says how many years, 12, how many months, how many weeks, how many days. It seems like we've been on podcast for 378,691,200 seconds. Seems
Wow.
like a lot of podcasting seconds.
Lucky for the listeners, we're not podcasting all the time, just twice a week.
Also, pearl hoop earrings and silk pajamas.
Beautiful. Well, can't wait to see what shows up in the mail from our listeners. If they send me some pants, I guess I would wear those. All right, guys. The reason we've gathered here today is to talk about the Pacers this week, and they went 2-1 against some good teams and some other teams. Pacers took a second game the Pacers had played the previous Sunday and beat the Cavaliers in Cleveland, and then Cleveland comes to our house, and on Tuesday, January 14th, beat the Pacers 127-117. Close for much of the game, but Cleveland pulled out and took this one away from us. I think there were some good performances on the Pacers side. Siakam, 23 points. Mathurin, 19 points. Mathurin also ejected this game, which we can discuss. And Miles Turner, 17 and 5. This one, Halliburton did not play this game. He had tweaked his hamstring the game before and did not play this game. Then we took the Detroit Pistons on in Detroit Thursday, January 16th. And I would consider this one of two professional wins we had this week. Spoiler alert for the next game. We had a good lead on the Pistons for a good chunk of this game and made it closer than it should have been. There was like weird beef. Are the Pistons rivals of ours? I don't know, but Pacers win this one. There was a lot of John. 26 points from Pascal Siakam. Miles Turner goes wild this game. It hit like 8 3-pointers, 28 points, and he was the star of the show this day for the Pacers. Nembhard with 12. Halliburton back this game, 17. Cade Cunningham looking pretty sweet for Detroit. 20 points for him, 9 assists. And Tim Hardaway Jr. for 25. Last game of the week yesterday. I'll tell you what, it was a busy day in the Fieldhouse. Earlier in the day was the Globetrotters game. And we got to go. Shout out to Connie. Got us some sweet tickets. saw the Globetrotters win a narrow game against the Washington Generals.
Barely
Barn
squeaked
burner,
it out,
eh?
huh?
Yeah. I think the last time the Washington Generals won, this can be my stat of the week, was like 1971.
Mm-hmm.
So
That would have been a huge upset then.
it would have been a huge upset. I tell you what, man, I think I found the cheat code in the the betting apps are all the rage these days. I just took the over, and just take the Globetrotters. They're gonna win. So that was super fun. And later in the evening, Pacers took on the 76ers for the last time this season and win this one too, 115-102. Similarly to the Detroit game, there were some times where Philly was giving us the business, but we able to put this one away. And Siakam with 20. Siakam every game he gets 21 and 8 like every game. Was it this game or the last one? He went like bonkers in the first half.
That was this game.
This game, okay.
Or every game. Yeah.
Mathurin has returned this game. The one he missed was the second game, the Detroit game. He missed that one, but he was back, and Mathurin 8 and 7, a little muted performance. But hey, guess what? We also got Aaron Nesmith back, which I'm excited to talk about. So Pacers go 2-1, lose to arguably the best team in the league, and win two of the games that they may have lost under other circumstances, but sealed the deal. Jason, the thing that surprised me the most, I think, this week was Mathurin getting tossed, and I don't think they were wrong to toss him. Did you see his actions and what had happened? Did you see what had happened?
I did see what had happened. I mean, he got called for a foul on the baseline. He came over and tried to block a shot. Definitely fouled the guy. Got the ball as well, but was very upset and sort of stalked the referee, Natalie somebody. Forget her last name. Anyway, and was like clapping in her face and very aggro, very not couth. He got his second and third technicals actually for the game,
Right, because he already had a technical for hanging
that.
on the rim earlier in the game.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it was not good behavior at all. He apparently apologized after the game, talked to the referee, and sorted things out. I mean, I think it was a accumulation or an accumulation of frustration that this referee had actually called several things on Mathurin, like kind of throughout the game, and he took particular offense to them. One was the most egregious one, I thought, was he got a breakaway dunk and then like kind of did a pull up. Pretty much, yeah, he did a pull up. His chin went above the rim basically when he dunked it, and so she called him for a technical foul. But there was also like people underneath him, and usually they let guys do that, like just to stay safe. So I mean, 10 years ago, sure, you always call that, but like nowadays they mostly let people get away with that. And then there were a couple other like kind of ticky-tacky kind of things, like he got called for a travel when he's dragged his pivot foot like a half an inch or something like that, which in the NBA they usually let you get away with 3 or 4 steps before they call anything. So but yeah, not a good reaction. I was not proud of my boy when that happened, but I was glad to see that he went and sought her out and talked to her and apologized, and it was just he got caught in the heat of the moment kind of thing. I would say outside of that, it was a fantastic week of basketball, though. I mean, I think like you said, Joey, a couple nice professional wins, especially that Sixers game was very sloppy. 17 turnovers by the Pacers. Everybody clearly had been spending the last 2 days packing their bags and booking tickets at the Louvre and, figuring out, where to have dinner and all of these things for their Paris trip upcoming. And we're clearly looking past the 76ers. What a luxury for this team to be able to look past a team, a month ago. There's no way they could look past the team. So, but I thought they did just enough at the end to hold on, made a few clutch plays. And then that Detroit one was very impressive, I thought. I thought that that was the game that Pascal went nuts in the first half, and the Pacers put the clamps on them. And yes, I think that Detroit fancies themselves a rival of the Pacers. I mean, they're an up-and-coming team. They're feeling themselves. They have not gone on a 28-game losing streak this year, so they're feeling good. And they beat the crap out of us the last time that we played. So
the last 2 times, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we? Yeah, they beat us both times we played them this year.
No. We beat them opening night, and then they beat us in the tournament or whatever.
That's
quite handily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and we get to see them again after we get back from France. So that
nice.
should be a very interesting game. And then the Cleveland game, just one note before I let other people talk. Without Halliburton, I was very impressed by the effort in that game.
Yeah.
I thought that the Pacers played super well. And they just ran into a buzzsaw of a Cleveland team that was angry that they had gotten their butts handed to them a couple games before, or the game before, by the Pacers. And they had a game 2 days later against OKC coming up that they knew this was a win they needed to get, or all of a sudden they're potentially staring a 3-game losing streak in the face. Donovan Mitchell came out on fire. He scored 21 in the first quarter.
Oh, yeah, I think that's right. He was,
and then quieted down, but Evan Mobley took over in the third quarter, and then Darius Garland took over in the fourth quarter. So they gave us all of the things, and we were still kind of right there with it. I think we cut it to 5 in the fourth quarter or something like that, and really made them sweat. So I thought it was a good effort on what you knew was going to be a super tough game. Those home and homes or 2 consecutive games are so hard to sweep those. So I thought the effort was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I just you can't say enough about the effort. Really, the Cavs are really, really freaking good. That's what I took away from that game. And we had just beat them, and you're like, oh, okay, we just went through. I think maybe it was just 2 droughts of scoring, and it wasn't even long droughts. It was, we missed 4 shots in a row, and they just crushed us. They don't miss. They hit. I think we missed 4 shots in a row, and they hit 3-pointers on every one of their possessions. And then boom, we crawled back into it, and then boom, we go cold for 4 possessions, and they've got a 12-point lead. It was just they're very, very scary. So, and they can score from all positions, and they play great defense. I don't think it's we shouldn't be feeling that bad about ourselves, especially getting one in their house. And then, I think you're right. This Philly game is a game we would have lost earlier in the season. Just so sloppy, and we were down. It was 10-1 starting the game, and we just kept chipping away, and ends up working out. So, I think these, I think it's easy to look past the team that's starting Ricky Council, and they were without.
No. Ricky Council the 4th.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about 3 generations ago.
They were without Embiid and without Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey just did whatever he wanted because he's that guy. And I think probably you go, hey, we'll give him 40, we can still win. But these kids, everybody in the NBA is professional, and they came out and played hard. And I thought we played defense in the second half, and stopped making silly mistakes and just knocked this one out of the park. We're playing like a really good team, and we're now in the 5th seed in the East, so
Yeah. Jason, Neesmith is back.
Neesmith is back. My goodness.
How do you think that changes our team chemistry and in defense?
Well, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I think that this game was the first game that we've been fully healthy, if you want to call it that. I mean, minus Wiseman and
Jackson.
Jackson, yeah, Isaiah Jackson. Yeah, no, Neesmith has looked good, too. I mean, scored 12 points in that Philly game. I think he had 9 in the Detroit game in only 9 minutes. He started that game because Matherin was suspended. But, yeah, this Philly game, you really saw the embarrassment of riches that we have. Like, Neesmith basically played only the first half, I believe. Walker comes in the second half, sort of filling those minutes, and I was like, oh, yeah, we have Jarris Walker. Oh, man. And then he just, had 3 steals in a row and got a dunk and, hit a 3, and it was like, this is our 11th guy.
11th guy.
Crazy. Yeah. How deep we are. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how Carlisle handles this situation of who starts, what the rotation is, I guess, as Neesmith comes back. It wasn't a question in the Detroit game because Matherin was suspended, so Neesmith got the start, but Matherin got the start in the Philly game. It got off to a rough start, and Carlisle actually pulled him out of the game. Didn't put Ben Shepherd in, didn't have him go sit on the bench, just talk to him for a minute and a half, just giving him a lecture, and was like, okay, go back in. And so, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that relationship. It'll be something to keep an eye on, and whether or not they switch back to having Neesmith as a starter and Matherin in that second unit, which I think could work perfectly great, So, just something to keep an eye on. Joe, you mentioned the word chemistry, and I think, yeah, that's definitely something that we want to monitor.
You hate to say a guy loses his position because of injury. It feels like this is Matherin's starting role at this point, though, doesn't it? I mean, he's just played so well, and that unit has played so well with him, starting and ending games, and I know that Neesmith is a better defender and probably a better shooter, but Matherin's a better scorer. He's better with the ball. I don't know. He's just been very impressive. He feels like he's becoming a star and the future of this team. So I am curious as well. But my assumption is that unless he starts pouting and there's some lessons to be learned, I feel like he keeps that starting spot.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, but yeah, it's just it's worth. It hadn't been something that I had thought about in a while, so
right.
This now Neesmith coming back brings it back up, and I sort of agree with you. I think that the improvement that Matherin has had on the defensive end sort of is substantial enough that the delta between him and Neesmith on the offensive end is big enough to make it an advantage. But it's all about cohesiveness at some level too.
Sure.
So, but like you said, that first unit is playing amazing, especially the last month or month plus.
Well, and you've seen so much growth from Matherin. It used to be when he got the ball, he had to do something with it, and now you see him, helping run the offense and setting good picks and moving without the ball, and he's just really grown into a well-rounded basketball player playing with these starters. It just makes us so much more dynamic, and that I love Neesmith and but he almost becomes expendable at this point. I mean, You're right. What a luxury to have this guy who's a top defender who, seeing 10 minutes a game since he's been back, and maybe that's because of, trying to ease him back in, or maybe because that's all the minutes we have for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'd like to get it down to a 10-man rote for sure. It's kind of weird to have an 11-man rotation. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think for sure that Matherin closes games, though. I mean, I guess maybe that would be matchup dependent in some cases and sort of score and time dependent, but yeah, he's just such a nice weapon to have down the stretch to go and get a shot if the offense, does the clogged toilet situation or something like that. Like he and Nemhard can create shots for themselves, so it's a real benefit.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the bench right now, like Obi Toppin and McConnell have been our most consistent players, maybe outside of Siakam. They've just been so good. Ben Shepherd and Thomas Bryant and Walker, all these guys are playing career basketball, and we go pick up Thomas Bryant off the trash heap, and he's just such a leader. He's such a rebounder. He's so active without the ball, and you go, these guys have all earned these minutes. Wow. Logjam. Can't even see any, if Furphy can't see the floor.
He sees it in garbage time. But that's it. What are you going to do?
It's a good problem to have, but also it is an issue.
It is. Well, the Pacers end the week. As of recording, they are 5th in the East, 24-19. We are now past the halfway point of the season. We're 8-2 in our last 10, sitting a half a game behind Milwaukee in the 4th spot. So, moving on up. We're out of the play-in. We are, there's a lot of basketball left to be played, but we are in a much better position than we were in a month ago, right? So, we're 8-2 is the best anyone's done in the league over the last 10. So we're hanging with everybody right now.
Heck yeah!
Well, I jotted down some things here. So since we had that 4-game break or whatever during the in-season tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then we played Philadelphia on December 12th or 13th. Okay. So since then, the Pacers are 6th in offensive rating and 6th in defensive rating in the league. There are 4 other teams that are top 10 in both: OKC, Boston, Memphis, and Houston. So we're with the elites there. We're 2nd in field goal percentage, 1st in turnover percentage.
Yeah, we've been taking care of the ball.
But here's the thing. So 6th in defensive rating, which is crazy. We're 4th in opponent effective field goal percentage. We are 8th in rebound percentage. And 5th in opponent offensive rebound percentage.
Wow.
Which is something that we always say is the worst thing that this team does.
Yeah. Shout out Thomas Bryant.
And we are 1st in opponent fast break points. So.
Wow.
Part of that is we make a lot of shots. So.
Sure, they're taking it out of the basket.
Right.
And we don't turn the ball over.
And we don't turn the ball over. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. And we're 16th in pace overall in that stretch.
So we've slowed down significantly. Last year we were, 1 or 2 in pace?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But man, 6th in defensive rating. That's incredible. They interviewed Pascal Siakam, and they were asking him, what the story is and what's contributed to this streak. And he said it's the consistency on defense. He says, we're still not a great defensive team, but we're more consistent defensively. And, 6 seems pretty consistent.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of anniversaries, happy anniversary to Pascal Siakam. The trade happened January 17th last year, I think. So he just celebrated.
He's been a Hoosier for a year now.
Pacers, yeah.
Yeah, and he said he'd had some dark times in Toronto, and that what he dreamed of when he was there was something like this. He's very happy in Indiana.
Sleeping on his bed of $50 million for this year.
For this year. That's right.
Well, as you know, Pacers halfway through the season, like you said, Joey. It's a good marker here. I guess we're one game over. Philly was the first game of the second half, but kicking off the second half in style, Pacers play 2 games this week. Both of them against the San Antonio Spurs, but not in San Antonio and not in Indiana, in Paris, France.
What?
Wow.
So they play Thursday. That's a 2:00 tip Eastern time.
Oh, and you said you were
They
quitting
came
your
to-
job so you could watch that, right?
NBA TV. Definitely.
Okay.
And then Saturday, a nooner game on Saturday. One of those is quote-unquote home, and one is quote-unquote on the road.
Those are both away games because
Yep.
the Spurs have Wembanyama, and he happens to be French. So, I think the crowd might be there for the Spurs.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Or maybe they just love, a top 10 offense and defense, and
Right. I
they're
think
there for it.
they're
Maybe they hate fast breaks from the opposition. And they're like these guys know what
They
they're
only
doing.
like fast breaks in one direction. Mm-hmm. They don't like to turn their heads too fast,
Yeah,
sure.
They can't eat their brie that way.
yeah. Go to a tennis match if you want to see that.
That's right. Apparently, the most popular team in France is the Golden State Warriors. Probably because they like 3-pointers and really talented passing guards, so they'll just love Halliburton.
That's right.
Maybe. Well, after we get to watch those games, we'll be back with you next week. Until then, you can find us on the interwebs. We are on Twitter at Undebeatables, Facebook.com/The Undebeatables. Our website is theundebeatables.com. There's also a contact form there. You could use that to send us a message. And email, shout out at theundebeatables.com. Send us a message there. And at the website /store is where we have our merch.
For the architect, Donnie Walsh, and our once and always Hall of Fame coach, Bobby Sick Leonard. Turn out the lights, the party's over.
I was really hoping for some French songs.
Happy French
It was-
trip.
Don't you speak some French?
The soiree is over.
The soiree is over. I like that.
It's fin.
Very nice. Maybe in the next show.
Okay.
The fete. That's a party. Soiree. I like it.
Cool.
What's Tony Parker doing these days? Is he like an ambassador for the Spurs?
I mean,
He's not playing anymore.
he's probably just sitting on his throne of millions, chain smoking, and reading French literature in French.
Wow.
The original French.
Oh, I didn't know he put an album out in 2007.
Was
The
it in
name of
the
album
original
is-
French?
I think it's in French, but it also and I hope it's in French because the title is TP for Tony Parker or toilet paper. I don't know.
He's going to come
singles.
beat you up now.
He had a #1 single in France. Balance-toi. And it was 54th in Belgium.
You didn't have very many Belgian fans, it sounds like.
I guess not.
I mean, how many songs really are in Belgium every year? Like, what are there, 55? He's got to be low at the bottom there.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on the Belgian pop charts, so.
I'm pretty sure it's every year it's the top 55, I'm pretty sure. I mean, how many Belgian songs do you know, Joey?
No, I don't think any.
Yeah, because they only have 55 songs a year.
Oh, it's just 55 total.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all there is.
Oh, so when you have music, you're ready to drop. Are they sorry? Like,
Yeah,
there's
wait
already
till
55
next year.
songs.
You got to get in the queue.
That's with the EU. You can just hop over to the next country. In my day, you had to wait for 4 years.
To put out a TP album?
Mm-hmm. I have nothing more for a CP album.